I'm in a rush, but it's such a good rush. We're changing the world. We're actually changing the world. It's not like, you know, the 99% of people who have really good ideas who are like, wow, I know what would make this place better. If only someone would go do something about it. We're actually doing it.
Does that get you fired up most mornings?
What a cool way to spend our life. Right? I don't know. Does it get you fired up?
Yeah, it does. And it also is intimidating at times. And I try not to think too much about it because it feels really big. It's like it's like standing at the base of a mountain and you're like, wow, this is a lot of this is going to be a lot of steps.
That's a lot of cardio.
But I've seen, and today I practice this often because I love running, and long distances are still daunting to me. Like anything over 10 miles is still like, it's a lot. And so I can't look too far out. Because then I'll just psych myself out. So I only look 8 to 10 feet ahead of me and just worry about whatever's 8 to 10 feet ahead.
Smart. Yeah, I have to do that with crunches. Like, there's no way, man. If it gets past 10, like, it's not happening. No.
That's so funny. So I asked our audience for some questions, and we got a bunch of really good stuff. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you have to say. First question is,
okay.
I'm a founder also caring for a parent. How do I know when caregiving is affecting my leadership judgment?
Oh, this definitely happens to me. I know sorry. Hold on. We're going to go on mute because I'm just getting pings left and right. We know this is my life. Thank God. Whoever figured out do not disturb feature, I love you. I don't know who you are, Doug or Seth or whoever you are, but like you saved my life. Okay. It definitely will affect you. And I think that it's completely insane to think that your outside life doesn't affect your work life. It's just in constant conversation. So what I have found, I did not know how to control this in the beginning. I was working at Facebook when my dad first got sick, and I showed up and I was really frustrated and mean to my coworkers. Like, it damaged relationships, and I was bringing my outside life in, and I couldn't control it. And it really hurt a few of the coworkers that I cared deeply about. I had to apologize, actually. And in fact, I still regret it. I just happened to see one, who follows us actually, and was telling me that he follows so much. And I apologized to him again for one particular meeting where it was so unfair. I was like, oh, this isn't good enough. This isn't. And I was like so mad. And that anger was being directed at the wrong person. Right. And what I was really mad at was Alzheimer's. And so I've learned since then how to think about this. This doesn't mean it doesn't affect me, but I've learned its impact on me. So I try and let my team know when I'm going in to a serious period of caregiving where I'm like flying in, I've got no childcare. I'm trying to take care of all of my dad's bills, my mom's health appointments. I'm trying to manage what it feels like to be a daughter in this experience. I let my team know ahead of time, like, hey, I might not be showing up 100% over the next couple of days. I know this. I can't change that, but at least you know what's going on for me in that. And then hopefully that's the channels of communication are opened up. But I still feel like crap while it's happening. I don't like not showing up 100%. I don't like feeling so de-energized and demotivated. The only way I can describe it is my mind is like trying to tell my body to pick itself back up off the floor after a few sustained days of really intensive caregiving. You know, some of this is the physical part, which Chris, more power to you. You've clocked so many days of, with your grandma. For me, it's also just, there's so much about it you can't escape from. And at least for me, I'll keep going until I have nothing left in the tank. There's just one more bill to pay. There's one more system to set up. There's one more doctor to go out and contact. And so I just keep going and going and going, and I have nothing left on the other side of that. And it'll take me sometimes 2 days, 3 days of very low energy to come back out of it. So I don't know if I have a perfect answer for someone of like, how do you know it's affecting you? It is. Maybe that's the perfect answer. It is. And it's up to you to figure out how it's affecting you. And don't expect yourself to be someone who can go into the workplace and, pretend like the rest of your life isn't happening. So I think it's more a question of, well, how do you manage that? Understand what the impact is. And then how do you create an environment in which you've got a plan for when it's like low grade impact, and then when it gets pretty significant and probably requires some advanced communication.
You talked about it within the answer, but the next question was, how transparent should I be with my team about caregiving responsibilities? And it sounds like you believe in being fully transparent with what's going on.
I think it's really important. I think you are teaching your team, whether it's those who, maybe happen to be colleagues or peers, or maybe you've got a manager, maybe, you got someone reporting to you. I think it's really important to give people information, because you need to honor the intelligence of those you work with. Especially if you're lucky, like I am. I'm surrounded by brilliant people. So it's better for me to give as many clues as I can to brilliant people around me of like how to successfully work with me than it is to kind of gatekeep that information. And I know that's hard to do. It's scary. It feels overly personal, like overshare. But I actually think you'll be surprised at how appreciative others are for filling in the holes with what's happening. I did this when I was working at Meta. The first person I told was my manager. I was really lucky. I had a really very tight relationship with my manager, but it immediately gave her context, on how to then help me, and some of those things I wouldn't have even looked for myself, like taking some time to just go be with my dad. I needed to hear that from someone else to be like, hey, this is really important. You need to go spend some time with him after his diagnosis. Because you're not going to get that time back. Having that permission was what I needed. And it was amazing. I took him on a trip, it was one of the last places we've ever traveled to, because I took that time, and I'll never get it back. And the only reason I had it was because I was transparent with my manager.
So good. Next question is, I feel guilty for wanting to take a break from caregiving. Do you think that's normal?
I mean, okay, let me put it this way. Wow. Managing someone else's health appointments, their bills, all of the decision making around their life in addition to your own. Gosh, that's so fun. I wish we could just do this all day long. Woohoo! Party! No, this is super stinky. Like, we're talking not only your own chores, but like a whole other person's chores. I think the crazier thing are the people who love this. Like, what? I want you on my team. You love this? Great. Come to mine, because I don't like it either. And if you talk to, hundreds of people who are caregiving for someone in their family, and you ask them their perfect day, it's like, I just want to be on a beach somewhere. I want to have a little drink with an umbrella in it. I want to just go. I want to go take a nap. Like, all of it to a T is usually a perfect day that doesn't involve caregiving. And I think that's okay. I think we deserve to just enjoy and have fun without having to tie responsibility to our experience of life. So no, I think you're totally normal. And I feel that way every day. Like, even building tender care is like my worst plan C. That's because life went wrong for my family early in ways that we didn't have control over. And I wish that I was lucky enough to not understand how hard this body of work is, but that's wishful thinking, right? And so it's completely changed my life, being able to understand and respond to this call to have more responsibility for someone else. I'll never be the same. I'm glad for it. Like, I'm a better person because of this, but man, I love fantasizing about taking a break.
I'll speak for myself. When I would take a break as a caregiver, there were times that I still felt guilty during these little breaks, or even if it was just a moment for myself. And I'm wondering if you have experienced that as a caregiver and as a parent.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this is a job that doesn't stop. Both being a parent, being a caregiver, there's always something more you can be doing. that's the hard part, is drawing your own lines. So the guilt, I think the guilt it's such an interesting thing. I think it speaks more to the type of people we are, who immediately, without someone telling us, understand that there's a responsibility here that someone needs to fill. And those of us who have kind of started this body of care for a loved one, a friend, you name it. We're just, I'll say this, I think we're a special type of people. We're kind of what makes communities work, because somebody's got to do it, right? And so we just immediately understand that, and we sign up for that job. So the guilt actually is misplaced, because I think already the fact that we understand that we have a role to play in that, we're already winning for our families. We're already winning for our communities, for societies. We are what makes it run. So I think less guilt and more patting ourselves on the back for being the type of people that I certainly want to surround myself with. I get to surround myself with. And so that's, a practice I think all of us have to work through, which is sometimes it's not just all on our shoulders. It's not just on us to make the world work.
Yeah. Next question is, when your parent changes cognitively, how do you grieve the version of them that you once knew?
So hard. I'm still grieving, I'll get little reminders sometimes, a memory will come back and I'll be oh, it's so real for me again, what it used to be like, the relationship with my dad. And I was super lucky. My dad was just such a character, and so fun. And so it's easier for me when I don't remember that, because then I can sort of get lost in okay, here's where we are now. Here's the present. When I remember that, it's the wound opens up again. And it's oh man, what I would give for one more of those days. So I don't know. I think it's a constant practice. It makes me feel better to take that grief and then put it into helping others, being a helper. I think that's a really great home for that grief. But I don't know, at least for me, I don't know if it ever really goes away.
Yeah. And I've talked to many people who have experienced the same thing. I think it's just a roller coaster. It's not a linear thing that you just kind of get over one day. I think it's just something that you kind of have to live with.
Yeah. This is the joy and the sorrow of being open and being human and having meaningful relationships with other people. Everything is changing all the time. We're all getting older. We lose people. I was just at a memorial this last Sunday, and we can't control that. And the only thing we can do is then bring new awareness to what we have in front of us, how lucky we are every morning when we open our eyes and we're surrounded by people and friends and family we love. Because it's fleeting, right? That's the name of the game. And the sooner you really savor those moments, knowing that they're going to change, I think you've got a leg up on just about everybody.
Next question is, as somebody who spends a lot of time running around building companies and also caregiving, how much gratitude do you practice in your daily life?
Man, these are such great questions. I love those who are asking these. You are awesome, all of you. Let's be friends. These are the right questions to be asking about life, not just to me. So you're cool. I heard once this phrase, and I just love it, which is gratitude is the attitude. And if you really take a moment and you look at your life, there's so much to be grateful for all the time. Our day is, even a day that's not exciting is just strewn with miracles, right? I was sitting there with my 4-year-old. We're in the middle of these East Coast crazy blizzards right now. It's literally the eternal perma winter over here. And at the same time, I'm explaining, which can suck for a lot of different reasons. School is closed and there's no way to drive anywhere. And, basic necessities are just shut down while there's 20 inches of snow. But I'm sitting there and I'm talking to my 4-year-old, and she's asking me about snowflakes. And she's so curious about the way the world works. And I'm trying to explain to her, hey, what's so cool is that if you take a snowflake under a magnifying glass, these are crystals, and there's not one that's the same as any other one. And so when you're sitting there in a blizzard, you are actually in nature's crystal party that's just descending on you. And like, that is wild. Like, that is an actual crazy thing. And so I do think it's a mindset. Like, how cool is that to be like, I am sitting in this unique crystal party that will never happen again, versus like, damn it, I'm going to be late again to work. So I just say that because both of those things are equally true. And I think gratitude is the practice of seeing the truths that are pretty inspiring and amazing happening concurrently with whatever the day-to-day crazy is that happens to be on your front door.
Crystal parties are my favorite. I wish we had some over here.
You better bring a parka because we're probably going to have some on Sunday and Monday.
Next question is, what do you believe a truly caregiver-friendly employer policy would actually look like?
I mean, having been lucky enough to work in a place that was pretty cutting edge with the amount of support they gave to employees for caregivers. I mean, I know that it changed my whole experience, right? Knowing that, hey, there was a name for what I was doing with my dad. It wasn't some weird off the books thing. There was actual resources, support. This was at Facebook. That gave me the opportunity to have some oxygen in the room, take advantage of some of those employee benefits, to then actually think about like, well, what's my role in contributing and solving, what this experience is like for other people. If I hadn't had that, I probably wouldn't have done tender care, to be honest. And so I think the first piece is like, well, are there benefits at all? Is this mentioned? Is there any resources for people who are, taking care of aging parents or a spouse or a grandparent, or is it only about children, right? If that's the case, like, well, there's some serious catch up that a workplace needs to do, because that is just not what's actually happening out there. And so there needs to be a little bit of an update on the survey work that whatever your employer is using can do to then identify this needs more resources and more help. But in terms of the actual resources, support, I think it's a combination. One, I think there needs to be real investment from an employer on what it means to help employees through this. It is in their best interest, because when we are constantly being pulled out for doctor's appointments, for having to fly home to go and, get a whole bunch of affairs settled, we're not doing that with a roadmap often. And so the more an employer can formalize these moments, these experiences, and then help support their employees through them, it's going to be better for both. It's going to mean that, you working for someone are going to do a better job. You're going to show up better at work. And also, whoever the employer is, they're not going to, lose you to hundreds of hours of heartache and scrambling and doom scrolling and late nights trying to figure out how you're supposed to do all of this. So it's a win-win for everybody. There's so many different support systems and tools out there, like, not to plug tender care, but to plug tender care, we're free for families. So any employer worth their promise that they're helping employees should be giving people free resources. That doesn't cost them anything, right? So this is an upside for them to just make sure that everybody out there knows that these resources are available to them. At least that as table stakes. Now, those who are willing to invest and actually create programs that employees can take advantage of, like, they get the real gold star. But anyone who's getting access to things like childcare or maternity leave, there's no good reason why someone who is stepping in to help a parent after a diagnosis, after an emergency to the hospital, shouldn't have similar resources. They shouldn't have to take vacation for that. Let's just put it that way. If we think having a baby deserves a certain amount of time, so does helping someone through a really hard trip to the hospital.
Yeah, that's good. Next question is, why do you think so many government benefits go unused?
I mean, have you guys gone on any government site? Like, what do these words mean? I don't know. I feel like it's a different language. What are these weird forms you have to download and these like crazy things you fill out? And then it goes to some weird email, maybe. And then it's like, which ones are real? Which ones like look like government, but aren't government? How are we supposed to navigate this? It's insane, right? And I do think the government is legitimately trying to help. I think they are trying to bring some of these resources like Guide, the dementia program out and into the world because they realize that we all need more help. I think we just have to do a lot better job of actually speaking to people the way we do in normal life. Like, talk to me like I'm a friend. Can you imagine if the government talked to us like a normal person? I mean, let's just start there. And I think you'd see a lot more uptick in people taking advantage of these resources. I mean, that's one of the things I really push us to do is like, okay, how do we translate this into plain speak for everybody? And, I want to keep doing more of that.
Yeah. I often, not even just government documents or just going on government websites to figure things, I feel like I have such a hard time with comprehension when I read things because I don't know if it's like people are trying to like, I understand people are trying to simplify things. Most people are trying to simplify things, but like when I read something, I have a really hard time comprehending sometimes. Like, what does this mean? Am I supposed to look deeper into this? Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people also struggle with comprehension and trying to understand what it is that this company is trying to tell me. So I love that we are always trying to simplify and like actually make things understood by the people that are reading them.
Perfect example, right? Guide, dementia program. It offers $2,500 in respite services. Okay, you tell me the last time you've used the word respite in your regular life ever. Like, what even is respite? I'm not like waking up or I'm like, oh, it's Friday. I can't wait for some respite. Like, are we in the 1700s? No. Like, oh, you mean break time? That's great. Okay, I can understand. I can get behind that. $2,500 in like break time. Got it.
Totally understand that.
Yeah, but that's not what we say, right? So, it's on us to keep pushing and keep advocating and, translating all this because otherwise these things are never used. And then what good does that do anyone? None.
Yeah, huge kudos to Lindsay. I was talking to her yesterday trying to build out some LinkedIn posts for her, and she was talking about the process for building this, which is like, this is one of the first iterations of Tender ID. This is when it was a different name. I don't know if I should say it. I might get yelled at for the magic magnet. And she focuses so much. And what I realized yesterday, while she's an amazing designer, she knows all the technicalities. I think where her job really is understanding who is consuming this thing that she's creating and how can I make it easily consumable. And she's thinking less about like, this is like the color scheme and we need to put the logo here. It's like none of that comes first. The first thing she's thinking about, first principle is how can I get the person who's consuming this to understand what it is that we're conveying, which is so fascinating to me.
Yeah, put yourself in someone else's shoes. What does that actually look like? That's always the best place to design from, and that's where you realize we're surrounded by empathetic design. Those products that really work for us, that's because somebody was either in our shoes or spent so much time understanding what it's like to walk a mile in our shoes. Like, think about the best products you love. That's where it's coming from. So yeah, she's just a rock star when it comes to that. And, for those of us who are caregiving, we have a very particular way of moving. We're multitasking all the time. We have very little time to ourselves. We're distracted. We've only got a few seconds to do anything. So time is our enemy. And so how do you create things that are super easy to do on the go? How do you make sure that we're saving time wherever we can? Lindsay does such a good job of really pushing us to do that every single place that we can.
And it is not easy to do. Like, if you've ever sat and tried to think about a user experience, outside looking in, it might seem simple. But when you're thinking about like, okay, because like we were talking about, again, we were getting into the nitty gritty of this, and she was saying like, we had to think about, okay, this is going to go on a fridge. So what color would look best on a fridge? And what colors would stand out to a person that's going to scan this? And like, there's so many things that we take for granted with good design, right?
Totally.
Like that we never think about. So when you're trying to, if you put yourself in the designer shoes, you can only imagine how difficult of a job it is.
Crazy. I know. That's why it just takes so much work to make something that works. Once you're on the side of making things that work, you realize it's like 1,000 considerations and pushing through things that people don't think can be done in order to make the thing happen. You know, famously, Steve Jobs and the Apple team, when they were building the iPhone, you know, the standard way of doing a screen was with plastic at that point. And they were so dead set it had to be glass. Like they had to basically reinvent the entire supply chain and way of building in order to make sure that that first screen could be glass. Because they knew it was going to be such a beautiful experience. It was going to be so much better and clearer. And it's so fun to see how other teams have broken through these, like, oh, this is the way it's always been done, to here's the way it should be done, because it's going to be so much better for the person on the other side. And, you know, here we are, all of us get to reap the rewards of that, right? Which was a small team that were just fighting a battle to make sure that that screen was going to be glass. So I think about, you know, this all the time when we go out and put something in front of families. Have we really earned the right to be useful for them?
Yeah, and the thing we kind of gloss over is like, yeah, they switch manufacturers, but think about like the first moment that they realize like all of the implications of like switching manufacturers and changing that. Like it's like we got to do what? Like it's insane. But to when you look back and you tell the story of like, yeah, they decided that this wasn't the best way and they decided to go with glass. It's like it sounds so simple to us. We don't understand the heartache that they had to go through. It's like,
oh, you know, that probably took up years of someone's life. Thank you, Pete. Right? You're like years off their life to be able to do this. It's so fun when you actually understand how human all of this is and how much is required to do this. I mean, I say this, the winners are those who earn their right to be taken for granted. Like you won your battle and now everyone just accepts this is the new way the world works.
I think about that so often, and I feel like what I strive to do is to tell the story of the in-between, right? Of the switching the manufacturer. Like, what is the heartache of having to switch? Or like, what is the heartache of having to redesign the entire front landing page because people weren't using it in the way that we thought? It's like now when people come to the website, it's like, oh, this looks amazing. But you had no idea like all of the micro decisions that had to be made to get to this point and for us to be taken for granted.
Yeah. I mean, you know, yeah, exactly. You know, like our tracker time, when we go into the data, that can get uncomfortable. Like we're not just like patting ourselves on the back, celebrating the wins. We're like, why is this not working? Like what's going on here? And that can get intense when we're sitting there and taking a look at this and like really digging into it. And it requires so much openness from our team. Openness to being like, this isn't working the way that we thought. How come? What are our best guesses? What's the answers to this? How fast can we solve for why this isn't working? How fast can we learn in order to make sure that we actually take the next swing and it's a smarter swing this time? That's the path to excellence. And it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. And to your point, it's kind of like running a long distance race. Like path to excellence means actually having to traverse that very long course, whatever, 10, 20, 30, 50 miles, whatever it is. That's not comfortable. and it requires a certain engagement, right? And similarly, I think it's taking a look. It's like, okay, how do you get better? How do you get better? How do you get better? What is the conversation we're having with our users coming back with? Are we getting closer or farther away? And then just being relentless about making sure we don't keep our eye off the ball.
I'm glad you bring up the word uncomfortable. I have found myself feeling like I feel the fire a little bit when we go through data and things aren't working the way they're supposed to, especially when it comes to things on the social side or on the engagement side or on the conversion side. It's like for being solo for so long, I've never had to really face the numbers the way that I've faced the numbers here. Like if I see that we're in the last couple of weeks, there's been a dip, there's less of a concern on my part because I'm like, we'll figure it out. But here it's like, okay, we got to figure it out, and like, let's see how we can iterate and make it improve next week or in the next couple of days or tomorrow. Let's like figure it out.
Or yesterday.
And it's been uncomfortable, but in I think in a good way, because in hindsight, I see how much that's really sharpening my tools and my craft and like really forcing me to get better. Because otherwise, it'd probably fall by the wayside because it is uncomfortable to look at to look at what's not working and to iterate. It's hard.
Yeah. It's super uncomfortable, right? We're battling what is so natural, which is like you would immediately get into a defensive posture over like defending the work, right? All of us, that's just a very human instinct to do. So to like create an environment in which it's just, we're pushing through that. This is the daily practice of what it means to be faithful to this ideal of craftsmanship and excellence, and to be comfortable in the becoming as opposed to what they already became. It's not for everybody. It takes courage to do that. And so the discomfort is something like I walk with all the time. I'm constantly having to learn, right? How do I become better at, like right now, this week, it's like, oh man, I got to get really, really crisp on how I explain product integration with much larger sort of like behemoth entities. Product integration, that's a very specific, defined skill set of being able to explain this and just like match up the two spaceships exactly right? That's a new skill. And so I'm like, oh, where can I be better? Oh, there's like 4 different places I can 100% be better next time. That's not easy, right? But that's the only way to become. Otherwise, you'll just get stuck. You get stunted in one zone. You never grow. You never graduate to the next class.
It's because I'm not with you in these rooms. It's hard for me to imagine what it looks like for you to be stumbling. Maybe stumbling isn't the right word, but like feeling uncomfortable with having these conversations or having to explain something that maybe is not in your wheelhouse. Like I don't know what that looks like for you. I've never seen that.
Yeah. I mean, well, just in general, tender care is now pushing up against like creating real infrastructure change, institutional change. So we're always in a state of becoming. And it's my job to always be on the outermost front edges of where tender care is becoming, which means we are like out there in space, like puncturing new territory. And that always means that's the roughest zone for the company, right? That's like V1 of anything, the most like broadly sketched out space. So I'm just constantly uncomfortable. And I've kind of learned to relax into the discomfort of that and be like, okay, it doesn't make it less uncomfortable, but I accept that the only way to get comfortable is to like kind of push through that first zone. Because otherwise the change doesn't happen.
Yeah, when you say uncomfortable, I also think about you when Tender Care first started, back when it was Tender, and you were trying to pitch your idea to different people and showing them the app or whatever you had at the time. Like, I think about the meeting you had with Mimi, and I just reflect on that story that you told me. Like, it's hard for me to imagine you leaving that meeting with energy and like, yeah, I'm going to continue building Tender Care. Like, that went so well. Like,
I mean, well, I don't know about others, but at least my experience has been like, I have found I have an infinite capacity for feeling stupid and still somehow continuing. Maybe that's my superpower. I'm like, wow, I'm very aware of the chasm between excellent and where I happen to be right now, but I won't give up, regardless, because I know incrementally we're going to keep getting better and we're going to take it on the chin. Sometimes, to give everybody sort of the snapshot of what happened with Mimi. She's an incredible advisor. She's become a dear friend. She's just a human you want to have in your corner. But she's been in the elder care industry for a long time. And I went to go show her our new exciting app, right? This is like, we barely stood this thing up. And I made the mistake of deciding to pick a coffee shop that didn't have Wi-Fi service, and our app only ran on Wi-Fi at that point. And basically the entire thing didn't work at all. Nothing loaded. And I'm just sitting there like pushing buttons, like hoping to God that something happens and changes while I'm sitting there, this lovely cafe with her. And credit to her, if any sane person would have been like, wow, I am never talking to you again. You are insane and you have built something of zero value. And she saw something in our vision and that was enough for her. And there are certain people that you meet in the world that just get it. They see the vision, even if, where it's at today is not where it's going to be. You want to surround yourself with people, whatever it is that you're doing in your life. You want to surround yourself with people who are there and they get it and they're okay with the fact it's going to be a journey. So yeah, there's been, any number of like horrifying experiences like that under my belt. Happy to share them with anyone over beers at some point. That is in like the closet of broken toys of, funny now memories of building tender care.
Yeah, I think there's so many founders who would love hearing the war stories of like, I guess the war stories of you just trying to like strong arm your way to like getting someone to see the vision when it wasn't so clear at the time. Yeah. Maybe now it's a little bit easier because you have some years under your belt, but in the very beginning stages to like tell somebody, like I think about myself, like to tell somebody like, yeah, I'm going to make YouTube videos with like 0 subscribers and I'm going to make this my career. It is so difficult. But when you get, when you get your first 10,000, you're like, okay, I got some wins under my belt. It's a little bit easier. So I'm sure you have no shortage of stories to tell people.
Honestly, that's kind of when I fell in love with you and Mers, was when you were like, oh, I'm going to write a book. And you didn't have a deal. You didn't have representation. There was nothing at that time. And I remember being like, just the simplicity and the confidence in which you said, this is part of your plan. I just immediately knew you were my people because I was like, yeah, the world is made by people who have very little friction between where your dreams are and your ambitions and then the commitment to actually taking action on them. Like, of course, is the path filled with all kinds of things you probably didn't realize and, like all kinds of craziness along the way, 100%. But if you weren't willing to even just say, here's what I want to make, and then follow that up immediately with like, and here's what I'll do about it tomorrow. Anytime someone is like that, I'm like, oh, that is a tune you don't hear very often out in the world. And that's always a good signal. Like surround yourself with people like that.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite parts of running marathons is being in that, like my favorite part of the marathon, obviously aside from finishing, is like being in the corral surrounded by so many people who have dedicated months of their life to training for this one thing. And we all share the same craziness and the same like, yeah, I can run this distance and I'm going to train for it. I love like being surrounded by people like that. It gives me so much energy. It's my favorite part of the marathon.
I mean, me too. I love it. The camaraderie in that and the just going for it together and knowing it's going to be hard and it's going to be effort, but also the enjoyment in it and seeing the fun and having like just the energy to try and do the thing. It's so cool. I love it too. The corral is my favorite. The energy like right before the race and the gun goes off. There's nothing like it.
Before all the pain.
And then obviously before all the pain and being like the second guessing, like, why did I do this to myself? That part's hard. And then skip to the end when it's like busting through the finish line. That part's pretty cool.
It's the best.
Too.
It's one of my favorite things ever. All right. Couple more questions here. How do you make major financial decisions for a parent without feeling like you're overstepping?
Yeah, this one's really hard. I don't feel like I've actually done a good job on this. So maybe I'm the worst person to give advice. And the reason I say that is, I got put into a position to be in charge of my dad's finances in a time in which I felt super immature, right? He was diagnosed when he was in his 50s. I was still in my like 20s at the time, or like late 20s, but still. And I kind of just did my best to just catch everything and keep it going. So I was just doing everything the way he had done it, right? And so the method was, okay, I'm just going to keep paying the bills. I'm just going to keep everything in his, retirement account. And then it was a weird thing of like, okay, now I've got the system set up so that I can keep it going as if he was doing it. but people change. And like my dad would have probably been making different calls over the last 15 years. I've been pretty slow to change things for him, and probably too slow. Like I should probably have started to have my voice in that much sooner. And so my advice to anyone out there is like, one, make sure they're safe. Make sure that you've got good information when making decisions on their behalf. Like do your homework. You know, if you're starting to think about like, hey, it's time to sell dad's house so that we can pay for his care, you know, in an independent living facility. Those are like really big things, and you want to have expert opinion weighing in. So I would highly advise, like, don't just kind of shoot from the hip on these things. Be informed, but also don't be so hesitant that you don't make moves. I think knowing what I know now, I probably would have started making some more moves on long-term planning for my dad, on, you know, costs that he's paying for that I probably should have canceled, but I just kept going because like, hey, he had an Amazon Prime subscription. That's an example, but like, I'll just keep it going for him, even though he doesn't watch Amazon Prime at all, right? Or like he used to read the newspaper every day. So I'm just going to keep that happening for 15 years, even though he doesn't read anymore, you know? So that's not smart. So I don't think I'm the best one for advice here, except for I hope you move with more confidence than I have.
Yeah, it's good. All right, last question. Why isn't there a single front door for aging resources? And why do you believe that Tender Care is the one to build the front door?
Okay, whoever you are, I really like you. We need to nerd out on this. I have so many thoughts. I think there is no single front door to elder care because this is a net new experience for all of us. We're living longer. We are living with more incurable illnesses than we ever have, and we are living farther apart, and we're busier than we ever have been before. So this has led to this whole chapter of life that our grandparents didn't need to deal with. Right? This was not on the menu for them. Like I'm at 15 years of taking care of my dad. If I'm lucky, I've got another 10. We're talking 25 years of being a primary caregiver. That was not a thing, right? For most people. And so some of this stuff is new. So there wasn't the need for a front door in the same way that there is. And so I think that's the first piece of it. Second piece is that it's nobody's problem until it is. So if you actually look at what caregiving hits, it hits your finances, it hits your health, it hits even your real estate decisions, it hits, you know, your day-to-day life. But it's a little piece of each of those spaces. So it's never been up to one industry to really solve this. The healthcare system is only thinking about you in the doctor's office, in the hospital. They're not thinking about you when you're at home for the next 6 months, right? Your finances, when, some event or diagnosis happens, there's no real support structure in place from your bank of like, oh man, that sucks. You're now living with Parkinson's. What does this mean, in terms of how you think about costs? Like, it doesn't really exist there. And so I think there's been no front door because nobody has felt the responsibility to build it. It's a house that everybody owns and nobody owns all at once. It's kind of like, the town park where you've got a building there. Like, whose job is it to clean the trash and make sure the bathroom is working? I don't know, right? And so I think it's everyone's like, not me. And so I think it took a very motivated group of us to be like, no, not in my backyard. Like, we're not going to let this keep happening to other families. We will build the house and we will build the door that makes sense for everybody else to participate in. So why us? Because we were probably the ones with the most to gain from solving this. Like, we're sitting there in the mess right now. This is our park. So we better clean this thing up, especially before our kids, get hit with this and have to take care of us. That's why I think it's us. We're just the ones most motivated to clean it up. It's our problem. And so we're going to fix it. And we can clearly understand how it's our problem across all of those different categories. Why I think it's our team in particular, I think because we've assembled a team of the most extraordinary, most talented, most empathetic people with the right skill sets to take advantage of what is a very real moment in time when the world is more open to doing things a new way. We are going through a huge technological change right now. as we're watching, it's still like a small amount of people, but still people starting to use tools like generative AI. These are able to then comb through vast amounts of information, get really personalized really quickly. And so we're in a moment in time in which, the world is looking at all of the ways that we've typically done things and saying like, hey, maybe now's a good time to try it a little differently. Maybe we could rip up this part of the system and figure out a new method for helping families move from, one generation to the next on how they're thinking about their finances, for instance, or their healthcare information. So we just happen to get lucky enough and unlucky enough to have the right set of tools for the problem that we've all been hit with the most. And I feel really excited about answering that call. I think every generation has to answer the call of the problem in front of them and what they're going to do about it. This is ours. This is going to affect everybody. And we're already seeing it work. Like, we're building the rails for this entire market as we speak. And it's so exciting to know how much value we're legitimately and genuinely bringing to families. I'm so proud of this. And we're in the early innings. Like, we're just getting started. It's about to get so much better.
My conviction is, for people watching this who have never experienced tender care or never downloaded the app or ordered a tender ID or tried Find Help, to hear how you articulate your thoughts on elder care and the front door to elder care. If this doesn't give people the conviction that we are the team to actually do it, even if you have never interacted with any of our tools, I don't know what is going to convict anybody more. Because I haven't met one person who has thought about this in such a way, in the way that you have. So that,
we're gonna go real deep.
So if anybody would like to compete with Shauna on like who can go deeper in elder care, please be my guest.
Oh, please, let's go. I want to learn from you. If you've got new things, new thoughts, like, I want to hear them. I want to absorb them. This is our jam. This is our life's work. This is going to be the gift we give our kids. I mean that. And also, selfishly, we need that. I don't want them trying to take care of me with the tools that are out there right now. That is no good for any of us, right? So I've got a real selfish stake in this. We better fix this before I get to be a granny. Because I am not down with the way it currently works.
And hopefully, you got some years, so we have some time. We have a little bit of time.
Just a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thanks, Shauna.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you.